Welcome to the Sports for All podcast. I'm your host, Eden Byrne, and today we have another great guest. So, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Beth. I'm from Birmingham and yeah, I'm a runner.
Amazing. Thank you, Beth. Great to have you. So, my first question is, can you tell us a bit about your sports journey and how you got involved?
I kind of have done sport throughout my whole life, but I've never been good at it. I did a bit of trampolining when I was younger, a bit of football, lots of different things, and I always loved being outdoors. But when I got into secondary school, I just kind of like lost all confidence, and I was the girl at school who would go a whole week at school without speaking, which is very hard to believe now because I talk so much. But yeah, I was very shy at school, and I just generally wasn't enjoying life particularly. And so my mum was into running and she was like, "You're going to start running." And I was in denial. I hated it. And she was taking me to parkrun on Saturday morning. I actually signed myself up for Saturday morning maths classes so I couldn't go to parkrun because I hated it that much. But my mum was like, "You need this in your life. Like, you need to start getting outdoors." Because I'd quit everything. I was just literally hibernating at home. And then eventually, after the Saturday morning maths classes ended, I had to go back to parkrun. And I actually ended up starting to like it. And I started to believe in myself. When I first did parkrun, I was running parkrun about 40 minutes of parkrun's 5K, free weekly every Saturday at 9 a.m. And it was about 40 minutes. And then slowly over the years, I've been doing parkrun, I think for 8 years now, maybe 7 years. And now my PB is 21 minutes. So like over time, it's taken a long time. Like someone else that's naturally good at running would have taken them that long to get to 21 minutes. But I've just gradually got faster
Yeah.
and enjoyed the sport more, ran more. And yeah, I've had some crazy opportunities through running. So I'm super grateful for it. And it literally has changed my life. And I couldn't imagine life without running now.
Yeah. Oh no, that's amazing. And it's so funny that you started off from hating it and then now you're like, oh, you wouldn't probably imagine your life without it now, to be fair.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And it was like, my mom actually was so right. I really did need it in my life, but I was in denial for the first like six
You're just like,
months.
I'll just do my Saturday miles instead.
Yeah, literally.
Anything to avoid it. That was great, thank you. So my next question is, what have been your biggest achievements in running so far? Yeah.
So I think one of actually, like, I don't feel proud very easily. Like, I just don't feel proud of myself. So I feel happy with what I've done, but I just never really got that sense of like, wow, I'm actually proud of that. And like, I was really happy when I got sub 30 at parkrun because I think I was always seen as the girl in PE. Like, I was in bomb set PE at school, and I was always seen as someone that wasn't sporty, and I was never picked for the cross country team or anything like that. And so when I first got sub 30 at parkrun, like I almost felt like I wanted to go and tell the world. Like I know the sub 30 isn't exactly an amazing time. It's not exactly I'm going to be going to the Olympics. But I was just like, wow, like I never thought someone like me would be able to do this. So that was, yeah, kind of a turning point for me. And once I got sub 30, I suddenly was getting faster because I actually believed in myself. And I think once you know you can do it, you suddenly actually like, oh, wow, actually I can run. Actually, I can do this. And I started to love it more. So yeah, I was really kind of happy with that, but I wouldn't go as far as proud. And then I've done a few races, well, a lot of races since over the years. And again, I just never really felt proud of myself. Like I thought I did Manchester Marathon last year and I got the time I wanted. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I probably could have gone faster than that. But I crossed the finish line and I really thought I was going to get that sense of like, wow, I'm really proud of that. Like, I'm really happy. I felt nothing. And I was just like, what is going on here? And then I did a few months after Manchester Marathon, I ran from London, like as in like the city centre, all the way to Brighton, so all the way to the sea. And that was 110 kilometers. And when I crossed that finish line, I think one of the first times in my life I've ever actually felt proud of myself because I was doing it for Mind, which is a charity that I'm really passionate about. So actually crossing the finish line and basically I just ran 110 kilometers, it was just a crazy
That's
moment.
incredible.
So
Yeah.
that was probably my proudest running achievement. I was, yeah, so happy with that.
Yeah, that is so cool. I no, I could not imagine being able to do that. That was amazing. So have you had any big inspirations or anybody who's really help keep you going? Like, I guess like running can be quite tough, obviously, especially if you get in that, like if you don't get your personal best or yeah. So who's kind of been the biggest cheerleader?
I've got like two inspirations. Then like I kind of keep their quotes in my head when I'm running. And one is Helen Skelton. Now Helen Skelton has been like an absolute icon to me since I was maybe like 5 years old. Because I used to watch Blue Peter and I was there with my Blue Peter badge, like so proud of myself. And like at school, we had to dress up as our like most inspirational person. I dressed up as Helen Skelton. So Helen Skelton's always going to be like the person I look up to. But she said when I went to listen to one of her talks, because she ran, I believe it was from one side of the Amazon. No, she rode from one side of the Amazon to the other, but she also ran across Antarctica and all crazy things. But she did this race across the desert and she'd never ran more than 6 miles before. But I think this race was something like, it was a long way anyway. And it was an ultra marathon. And she was like, well, if I can run 6 miles, I can run another 6 miles. So every time she completed 6 miles, she'd reset her watch back to zero and be like, well, I can run 6 miles, so I can run 6 miles now. So technically she was running more than 6 miles, but she just every single time she hit 6 miles, she'd reset everything and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this again. And I was like, now in races, I'm always like, when it gets to a hard moment, I'm like, okay, I just need to do the next 10K or the next kilometer or even the next 500 meters. I can run 500 meters so I can get to the next bit. And I just love that. I just think it's
Yeah.
such a great way of looking at things. And then another person that, again, I'm a little bit obsessed with is Vassos Alexander. So he's actually a radio DJ, but he is an incredible ultra runner. And I've listened to all of his audiobooks. And he said in one of his audiobooks, and I, again, listened to him speak live, he was like, well, giving up isn't an option. And I was like, how can you run? Like, he's done races that are like 200 miles, run 200 miles, and like giving up isn't an option. And I kept having like this deep thought of why, how can giving up not be an option? And now I've actually got to the point where giving up isn't an option. Like when I did London to Brighton, for some reason it never crossed my mind to give up. Like
Yeah,
there wasn't a,
so
oh, should I
good.
just drop out here? And it was like, I never even thought about the fact that, I don't know, 10K in that I still had 100 kilometers to go. I just don't think about that. And I don't know how you get to that point, but I'm like, it kind of, I think the fact I was thinking about it so deeply that now it just doesn't cross my mind is not an
Yeah.
option. And I think it's a great mentality to have. Like, obviously, if you get injured, stuff like that, then giving up is an option. Don't push through the pain. But not even cross your mind. I think it's just a really cool thing to have.
Yeah. Wow. That is, yeah, I feel like you can kind of like bring that into life as well. It's like kind of like that motivation that you need. You're just like, okay, I can do this. I can get through this like awful piece of coursework.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
definitely.
wow. Okay. Definitely. I'm blown away by those two people. And you, of course, as well. So what skills have you learned then? Obviously, like dedication, motivation, that kind of thing. But like what other skills have you learned that maybe have helped you in like social action or like work or life?
Yeah, so well, before doing running, like I said, I wouldn't speak at school all week, and I still, to be honest, didn't really speak at school. But then outside of school, I was in these situations where potentially there were lots of people, all these things that like normally I would avoid these situations. I suddenly like gained a lot more confidence in myself, and I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying I believed in myself, but I don't think I would have put myself out there as much, and it was also nice to not just be, I don't know, Beth, the girl that goes to school, like there's nothing really about her. And it's not like, I'm a talented runner that's going to be, having a career in running. But I just liked, it gave me like a bit of a sense of achievement that actually I wasn't just I'm not a nobody, which is what I felt like. And there was something that made me a little bit more interesting. So I would say I probably wouldn't have done as many things in like my social action world if I didn't have running. And also running gives a space to kind of like I don't know, my brain is like always going at like 1,000 miles per hour, it feels like. And it's a nice way to kind of just switch off and actually have half an hour or longer on my own, which, yeah, is so nice to have a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah, no, definitely I agree. It's kind of like an escapism from everything. You're just like, okay, I'll just run, I'll just put my headphones in, all will be good. Can just run away
Exactly.
from everything that life is giving
Exactly.
me.
Run away from our problems.
Yeah, I love that. So kind of like moving on a bit from that, what have been some like barriers or challenges or like what maybe barriers or challenges maybe you haven't faced, but maybe like other young people who might want to get into running, like what might be their kind of barriers?
Well, I used to think basically that trail running was literally just running on grass. Like, I didn't really know what trail running was. And I thought I was a trail runner because I used to, put my trail running shoes on. I'd go on a little run on a little bit of a gravelly path. And that was like, I was like, wow, this is a bit extreme. And then I joined Alpine Run Project this time last year. An Alpine Run Project is basically a group of getting like young people from inner cities onto into nature basically. Our phrase is from the streets to the peaks. So we've got young people from like Birmingham, which is where I'm from. Then we've got people from like London, Manchester, all cities across the UK. And it's about getting young people that they might like running, they might have never done running before, and getting them into these spaces and having the opportunity to actually have young people represented on trail race start lines and actually getting young people that potentially have never left a city before into these beautiful spaces that do literally change your life. And so the last year I've been doing a lot more trail racing, which I've learned trail racing is not just running on grass, it's running up mountains. And I was like, I didn't know people even ran up mountains, but I love it. It's literally my favorite thing now. So I definitely trail running is hopefully going to be in my future a lot because yeah, there's nothing more special. But when I stand on the start line of a trail race, there are no other young people except for Alpine Run Project. The average age is probably around 40, and young people are finding it incredibly hard to get to these start lines and finding it hard to know that this is out there and how much this is actually going to benefit their life. And not only is there no young people represented, there's often no people from ethnic minority backgrounds. There's dramatically less women. I was doing a race earlier this year, and less than 20% of the people on the start line were women. It is a very male heavy, basically white male heavy dominated sport. And Alpha Run Project is all about changing that, making sure that everyone represented on the start line. And my eyes have just been opened over the last years. Like I was unaware of this all. Even when you go to things like parkrun and maybe like a road race, it is still predominantly male, but it's a bit more of an even split. Whereas trail running is not even close. So, and there's all these barriers to women getting into sport, such as, for example, I did a 50K race earlier in the last summer, and it was an incredible race, one of the best races I've ever done. And it was 50 kilometers. That's a long way. It took me 7 hours and it was up a
Wow.
mountain. It was up multiple mountains in Snowdonia. And it was stunning, but there wasn't a single toilet the whole way across the whole course. And obviously, you're in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't expect there to be like a block of public
Yeah.
toilets. But I was completely unaware that there wasn't going to be a toilet the whole course. And the whole way, I didn't see like any females. I was just surrounded by men the whole race. And it's also like an exposed land. There's no trees, to go and hide behind and go to the toilet. So there's all these men just going to the toilet whenever they fancy. I literally couldn't go to the toilet the whole race. And it got to the point that when I hit 45 kilometers, I was in third place as in third female. And I had to walk because I was so desperate for the toilet, but there was nowhere for me to go. And it's like, well, men don't have to worry about that. And because I think the race organizers were male, they didn't know about that. And then fourth female, she might have overtook me either way, but she overtook me and then I ended up coming fourth. But I was gutted, but also the fact that I had to stop because of that. And also, if you're on your period,
Yeah,
what are you meant to do? Where are you meant to get
yeah,
changed?
exactly.
And there's no period products across any races that I've ever been to. There's none in the toilets. One was if you suddenly come on your period while racing. That's your race over. Like you, especially if you're wearing like little running shorts or like leggings that aren't a great color or whatever. Like, what are you actually meant to do? There's none of it anywhere. And for example, another thing, the race bibs, they're always like huge bits of paper that are suited to a male-sized body. Whereas a woman, it's really hard to pin those numbers on. They get caught, they get ripped off. And it's just these little things that I know they aren't the biggest problems in the world, but they're just one more barrier that's going to stop a woman from getting to that start line. And it's also cut-off times. So in a trail race, some races, it could be 50K. There's only a 7 hour cut-off time. And that is based off the average finish time of a man, not a woman. There are races now that are getting better with cut-off times, but if you're going to sign up for a race and pay quite a lot of money and train for it, you want to know that you're going to finish that and the cut-off time isn't going to cut you off. So there's a lot of things that like a male-dominated women's sport making it inaccessible for women. And that's just a few of them. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the biggest barriers into the sport. And especially when you see photos of races as well. Quite often you just see white British men on the photos. If you're looking at that, that doesn't look like a space that's welcoming for you. And even though I've been running for years, I still stood on the start line of that 50K race and I did not feel like I should be there. It was an incredible race, but I started at the very, very back because I looked at everyone around me and was like, they look like proper runners. I don't. Like, I'm going to come last. I ended up coming fourth, which I don't know how that happened. And it was a real turning point for me, actually, because I suddenly was like, oh, maybe I can do this. But I started at the very back because I just did not think there was a chance of me. I didn't even think I was going to make the cutoff time. So it's about making women believe that actually they deserve to be here and they can be a competitor in this. And yeah, I just look at the people around me, I'm like, I can't keep up with them. But really, women can keep up with them. It's just, we need to almost change the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, it's so sad to see that like it's so like inaccessible. Like there's so many barriers already there for women, but yeah, it's definitely about kind of opening up that conversation like we're having and kind of like yeah, definitely changing perspectives and like allowing more, I guess, like people to have more of an insight into like, okay, maybe we should make these spaces more inclusive for women and also young people as well, like you were saying. So my la second to last question actually, what advice would you give to any young person wanting to get involved in running or women?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say like you're never gonna regret going for a run. As in, like sometimes you feel scared, unmotivated, or you just don't want to get out the door, or you're worried about what you're going to look like. But everyone's so worried about themselves that I just don't think people notice anyone else. And the only person that will have noticed things is yourself because you're
Yeah.
worrying so much about yourself. And think about it, when you see other people running, do you ever think anything of them other than, wow, go them? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you'll ever regret going for a run, but you might regret not giving it a go.
Yeah.
So definitely give it a go. And like I said, I hated it at first. And to be fair, if running's not for you, then that's absolutely fine. It's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. But whether you can get out into, I don't know, your local trail park, or if you're lucky enough to be near the Peak District or like the Malvern Hills or something like that, just giving it a go and getting out there and seeing, hopefully in good weather, because it's not pleasant and it's horrible weather. But I'd recommend waiting for the sun to come out. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just giving it a go and finding something because there's a sport out there for everyone. And I think sport has the opportunity to change everyone's life. So even if it's not running, I just don't think you'll ever regret giving it a go, but you may regret not trying it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would just say give everything a go.
That is such good advice. I think, yeah, it's just getting yourself out there, trying it. It might not be for you. It might be for you. You might love it. You might hate it, but just try it because you won't know. So my last question then, what are you excited about for 2025 and what, like, running wise, have you got planned for this year?
Well, I'm still planning out my race calendar for the year because I sprained my ankle at the end of last year, and because I'm an intensive care nurse, and so I've been stood up for like 13 hours 3 times a week, so it just has not healed very well. But it's getting there, and I'm starting to get to the point now which I can run relatively okay, which is exciting me because I was worried that I was going to be out for a while, but no, we're getting there. So now that I'm a
Yay.
bit more hopeful. And I was being very dramatic. I was like, that's it. That's my 2025 year over. Like, it really was not. I'm just very dramatic with running. And it's been weird. Like, I've not actually had a proper amount of time off running since starting. So it's been weird not running regularly. But anyway, we're getting back into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've started doing guide running. I did a course at the end of last year to become a guide runner. So that'll be for people that are visually impaired. And I'm meeting a guide later today. No, a visually impaired runner later today that I will be guiding, and that'll be my first time guiding them. And then I've also been guiding someone else the last few weeks. And yeah, it's been really good actually. I really enjoy it. And hopefully later this year, I will be guiding an ultra marathon, which I think that's a bit crazy because running an ultra marathon is hard enough because I'm always knackered, but I've not only got to focus on myself, but I've also got to remember that I'm
Yeah.
guiding someone. Like I've got to be able to describe everything, even when I'm really tired. Which to be fair, they've got it a lot harder than me because I can't imagine running that far and not being able to obviously know where you're placing your feet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they've also had to put a lot of trust in me, which means I need to work on being a guide runner. But yeah, so hopefully you'll be taking on that later this year. So a lot of guide running hopefully over the summer and spring to prepare for that because that should be in September. And then with Outline Run Project, I'm going to be race coordinator this year, which I'm really excited about. So organising lots of races. And Outline Run Project, you can currently apply. So depending on when you've listened to this podcast, please check out Outline Run Project because we're going to be taking on a lot more young people this year. And we offer free trail races, free community events, and lots of different ways to get involved in trail racing. And then I'm also hoping to just build a stronger base so that I can potentially up my distance next year. And yeah, just see where life goes, basically. Keep representing women and young people and hopefully get some exciting opportunities this year.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got amazing opportunities already. I'm so
Yeah, to be
excited for you.
fair, very
Yeah.
lucky.
The guy running sounds so cool. I think you'd be so good at
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. It's been great to have you and like share your story and like I'm really inspired and I think everybody else will be too, especially young women.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I think this podcast is an amazing idea. So well done, Eden.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It would be great if you could give it a follow and if you could give it a rating. If you want to connect with me further, you can find me on LinkedIn at Eden Byrne or on X at Eden71003.